Anyway, Steve, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it. Thanks. How's things anyway? We'll start off with saying how things are. How's things going, man? How's retirement? You officially retired? Yeah. Is that officially retired?
Yeah,
Or yeah. How's it going so far? I've been seeing you've been taking your boy on the bike and
Yeah, well, I've gone from world champion kickboxer and now I'm working on world champion dad.
yeah. How's that going?
Oh, it's going good. Yeah, I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Tell me a bit about how you, I guess, got into martial arts, man, from early. Tell me a bit about the backstory.
My dad, he taught karate, Shotokan karate.
Yeah.
And my older brother Stuart.
Yeah.
He's 3 years older than me. He started when he was 4, so I used to go along and watch him. When I was just toddler, 3, and then I started when I was 4 as well. And we loved it. We did a lot of tournament fighting when we were young, and black belts around 9, 10 years old. All the tournament fighting was like semi-contact stuff, but you'd have 5 fights in one day. And then that went on for years. So it's probably about 7 years old, and then I was about 12, 13. My dad, he was doing bodyguarding, and he met Bob Jones, who's the head of kickboxing Australia at the time. And he said to my dad, "Oh, you've got the perfect physique for kickboxing." My dad said, "Well, I've got 2 sons exactly the same."
Yeah.
So we went down to his house in Melbourne, stayed with him for a month, and pretty much done a crash course and learnt it and picked it up and loved it straight away. And came back up, started teaching it, and then I was only like 12, 13. Stu was 3 years older.
Yeah.
He started training and fighting almost straight away, and I was stuffing around, as a kid. I just wanted to play with my mates and everything. And my dad used to pay me pocket money to go to training twice a week. And then I think I was 15, and Stu was training some guys, and we went, and I was actually out with my friends the night before having a drink.
Yeah.
I'm not really meant to at that age.
Yeah.
And then
when's this? So how old would you be?
I was 15.
You were 15.
Yeah. And then I was at my brother's house the next day, and he said, "Oh, look, we've got some guys fighting today. You want to come along?" I went, "Yeah, I'll come along and watch." So I went along, and I was feeling a bit hungover and everything at the time. And one guy, my weight didn't turn up. And Stu said, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "You're kidding, aren't you?"
Yeah.
I was drinking last night. Yeah, so what? Nothing to lose, all to gain. So I jumped in, I knocked the guy out with a left leg head kick in the 3rd round. And then it was that moment that I decided that I'm going to be a world champion before I'm 28.
Yeah. And you reached the goal?
And I reached the goal, 24 actually.
Yeah. What was, I think Stu briefly kind of told me at the time, but when you guys were growing up, like Muay Thai kickboxing wasn't that big, it wasn't even, or short, was it?
It was non-existent.
It was mainly karate?
Yeah, it was karate, yeah.
Yeah, and then how did that come about? Like, how did the influence of kickboxing and I guess Muay Thai come to Australia?
Well, Bob Jones, he was Zendo Kai himself, but he started the whole kickboxing thing in Australia, and it was just starting to really pick up around that time. That's when my dad was doing like the bodyguard course and everything, and that's how I met Bob Jones, and then so it was well, right at the start of the era sort of thing. Yeah.
And did you and what was your goals like at that point when you won your first fight? What was it like? Did you guys have the environment to thrive in that, in terms of like, say, training partners, in terms of like, the quality? I mean, I've obviously trained a bulldog, so I know you've got quality, but coming up in your time.
Well, we were creating it. It was just, so I have a brother.
Yeah.
So I had a big advantage because he trains hard and tries hard, and he's talented too.
Yeah.
So he was really good. And then I was 3 years younger, the little brother as well, and so I would strive to try and be as good as my brother, and he was a real technical fighter. I was really aggressive, and so he would, when we'd spar or muck around, he would just stir me up, and get me really upset, and I'd just try to kill him. Yeah. And he, put me on my place again, and that went on for years until I started using his own tricks against him.
Yeah.
And,
I guess if you spend enough time training with each other, you'll pick up things.
Yeah.
Was martial arts just something that you found along the way? It wasn't something that was, I mean, I guess you had karate, so that kind of wasn't that influence. But as sport grew and you had Muay Thai kickboxing and you had boxing, what kept you at kickboxing and Muay Thai? And not kind of venture out to other, you know, other sports, especially boxing. It's one of the oldest sports, combat sports.
It was that first fight that got me, because before that I didn't know that I wanted to fight. I didn't even want to go to training. But my dad paid me pocket money so then I could go and have a drink with my friends on the weekend or muck around and do something devious, you know. And then it was that fight. I just felt like I've got something here, and that's when I went, that's it. And I chose from that moment. Before then, I didn't know what I wanted to do, like career-wise in any aspect, you know.
And what was your career spanning over now? Like, say from retirement to when you started, what's that?
I retired at 42.
42.
My first kickboxing fight was at 15, and but I was fighting karate from about age 7, I think.
And was fights like, would you just fight at any time around then when you guys were coming up, or was it like scheduled fights you'd know about a month?
Scheduled fights,
And how long was it till you kind of tasted your first championship?
I had 4 fights, 4 wins, and then I got a state title shot. And then I won that as well. And then so then through my amateur career, I had 2 state titles, 2 Australian titles, a South Pacific, Commonwealth, and World. And then I turned pro. And then and then as a pro, I've won 7 world titles as a pro.
7 world titles. And how was training like? Was it were there days where like you didn't want to kind of pull your ass out of bed, or
at least once a week?
Well, at least once a week.
My whole life.
And tell me some of your, I guess, I know that you fought overseas quite a bit as well. So tell me some of the places you fought overseas.
I fought in Jamaica. That's where I won the WBC world title.
Right. What was that experience like?
That was awesome. Against a Dutch guy. It was a crazy place, Jamaica. At the time, I remember looking it up, and it was the murder capital of the world or something.
I think Kingston. It was the murder capital.
But on the other side, it was called Montego. I've fought through Europe and stuff as well. Pretty exciting.
Did you when you guys, I guess, went over and fought, did you guys get time to really go see the place and the environment while you were there?
At first, I never used to. So I'd been to so many places. I could say I'd been there, but I saw nothing.
Is that because you're just kind of there for the fight and then fly out the next day or day after or something?
Next day they fly. So then, because I'd been to China, I'd been to America, I'd been to Jamaica. So then I went, right, that's it. Whenever I go anywhere, and we're talking to the promoter about organising flights, I book my flight home a week or 2 later. So then I get to have a look around. And so I've seen some pretty cool places. Since I decided that.
That's awesome. And with your training, how did you, I guess, what were some of the things you took place to get better and better as you went on in your career? Because obviously you just retired, I would say. Would it have been the last year that you retired?
I retired at the start of this year.
Right? So 42.
And I'm still improving now. I'm still training, like I still spar twice a week. You know, I do my kilometre swim to keep my fitness up, and you know, I'm holding pads and everything. So I'm still...
Actually, tell me a bit about that. Like, what are some of the training that you do to get yourself ready? Because obviously, swimming being one of them. Is that like beach swimming, or are you just talking about going?
Just a kilometre.
Pool.
Just to get the lungs working. Just that controlled breathing, I find helps me a lot. And then the running, you need the running. You know, as a fighter, and the hill sprints is something I've always sworn on. You know, and that's just over like 30 meters, and I do sets of 10 of how many rounds I'm going to be fighting. So if I'm fighting a 5-round fight, I do 5 sets of 10.
Just for the hill sprints,
And any longer than 30 meters, I find then there's too much of a rest on the way down. So you get that explode, recover. And other than that, plyometric training, explosive strength work.
Just did you ever feel like at any point early in your career that kind of you were like enough is enough, or you always had that, you just found a way to develop the hunger as you
I always developed it. And
I guess the good thing about it is when you kind of hit one milestone, you see what's next waiting for you, right? And I guess the beauty is when you do achieve that milestone, it's something big. You're like, well, if I can do this, I can probably do that. Would you say that's kind of how you kept moving forward? And
I've always seen areas to improve on. Always. I always felt like the day I think that I'm complete is the day I better retire, because you're never complete. As a fighter.
And with you, you say seven time world?
7 times as a pro,
as
1
a pro,
time as an amateur.
Does any fight stand out for you in those 7 fights? That kind of, whether it's adversity or even just you know, a particular fighter that, you know, you just have to memory that you've had a good fight or good combat fight with, you've gone back and forth, or has it always been a challenge or something that you'll remember?
The biggest challenges for me as a fighter have always been the ones where I wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
And then so you're just fighting for your life.
Yeah. Is that like kind of just going into a fight not 100%?
Yeah, going into it not 100%. And during it, in the middle of it, you know you've got a round and a half left, and you're just holding it together. But you know, in the thoughts that go through your head in one split second in a fight, it's unbelievable. You know, and you're thinking, okay, I think I've had enough now. I just want to go home. But to do that, to achieve that, I need to go through them.
Yeah. It's like you're playing your own little story in your head. What do you think of the Muay Thai kickboxing climate in Australia at the moment? In terms of just, you know, the competition, in terms of the sport in general. I mean, you know, I was telling someone the other day that, you know, as our culture, once we have a platform to celebrate our culture, we'll look at the McKinnons and, you know, all these people as pioneers. I mean, given the time that you guys came up, and in a time where it wasn't even kickboxing Muay Thai wasn't even relevant or even known. You know, what do you kind of get out of, you know, seeing the sport now? And, you know, obviously it can always get better. But what comes to your head when you think about it?
The standard is unbelievable now compared to what it was. Back in the day, when my brother and I were coming through it, so we were getting right training, we were training in Thailand, and we were doing all these different things, and we were doing things properly, and we were just running over the top of people.
Yeah.
And because most people just had no idea really. And then now the standard is all so competitive, so it's all so level as well. You know?
So was that one of the, I guess, advantages? You guys went and trained in Thailand and kind of came here, and you're probably ahead of the game. So would you say that the sport started growing here as more Thais came here, or more people decided to fly over to Thailand, go learn over there and come back and then kind of pass on? Yeah. What is it like? What is it like passing on, I guess, or helping, I guess, develop younger athletes and kickboxers? And, you know, do you kind of see yourself in them, or do you kind of, you know, what kind of feelings do you get when you kind of get to give back to other, you know, kickboxers that are coming up?
Well, you can't buy experience, you know, and just the smallest little things, like a different angle that your foot moves or something, you get such a good feeling when someone's just trying so hard, they're putting all their effort into improving, and then you can just give them 1 inch of a movement with their foot, and then it increases their power and their balance and agility and everything, you know. So
And did you find that with the environment that you trained with, say other training partners, especially at the time, I guess Junior Bravo coming up, and with kickboxing Muay Thai, I guess, you know, with you and Stu, what did the standard kind of rise as they was training with you guys, aspiring with you guys, or did you manage to get like high-level kickboxers, whether it was from interstate or other gyms within Sydney or you know, overseas, you know, at the time? I mean, there was a story once that Stu told me while I was training with him, and I asked him how the Bulldogs gym was, you know, before my time, and I guess, you know, the early days, and he said it was just full on, like he goes to sparring sessions.
Everyone had something to prove. Everyone was trying to achieve. Everyone was trying to, you know, get to that goal. And also when it wasn't enough for me, if I used to go and spar with the likes of Peter Graham and people like that, and that was awesome for me. I remember coming back from that, and I felt like I got fight experience out of it, because I feel like out of a fight, it's like 1,000 training sessions in one. A fight's the experience you get from that, and that's the kind of experience I used to feel like I get from going and sparring guys like Peter Graham and Adam White.
And what kind of, I guess, drives you to, I guess, you know, we've already spoken about you, I guess, getting, you know, once a week, questioning and having to get up out of bed, but in terms of your mentality, I guess, you know, what's your mindset going into a fight? Like, you know, is it I know most people are comfortable, but what's kind of your mindset? How do you prepare yourself for these high level fights? One of the fights that I got to catch, I guess, the latter part of getting to know you and having the chance to actually train under you was, I think it was the Power Play 35. And for those that are big fans, I would actually try to watch that as much as you can, because I think there were some high quality kickboxing fights. What's your mentality like? How do you prepare yourself for these big fights? Well, I think that fight card, you fought someone from overseas. I think it was England, I think, at the time. Because it's funny, like I guess in amateur and even in pros, I mean, you hear about a lot of people in the industry, in the circuit, and other kickboxing and whatnot. But once you get to the level of overseas fighters, I mean, I guess you get to see videos and see them train. But what's your mindset? Tell me more about your mindset going into fights and even training.
Anyone who has fought or is going to fight understands the pressure you put yourself under or you get put under. And for me, coming into a fight, that's the most important day of my life. Leading into it, training for it, preparing for it. So everything I do in my life, I have to be the best that I've ever been on that day. And then come the day, you go in, deal with the pressure, but then after it, I was finding that, win a world title, whatever it is, the next day, I'm almost a little bit depressed. It's what now?
Yeah.
That was everything to me. So I had to change my mindset a little bit it's just another day in the office. It's just another day in the office. Keep the same mindset of it's the most important day, but it's just another day, just another fight. I'm going to have plenty of them. So I just kept doing it. Then it was like nothing to me. And also I used to overtrain a bit as well, because it comes from a fear of not being fit enough, not being good enough. And then you overdo it, and then you get sick, you get run down. It works against you. So trust the process. Trust in your own ability and trust the process. Do what you know works and just trust the process and run it out.
It's almost like anxiety kind of training, isn't it? Like you just, it's like how much can you really gain in that last week that you kind of trained in the last 6 weeks. So, and
where in actual fact, you'll actually gain so much more by doing nothing in that last bit of time.
And why is that, you reckon? It's just because
your
you
body needs rest. You've trained so hard, you've tried so hard, your body's done, your body's finished. It needs to recover so that all that training you've done, you can use it.
Yeah. It's not even like just physical, it's mental as well. Like, you just don't realize, I guess. Did you ever have like a support system or ever in days where you kind of rely on certain people as from a support network to kind of get you through these moments, or is it something that's just kind of like, it's on me and my own kind of journey?
I did a lot of meditating. It takes a bit of an effort to, pull yourself aside and meditate and everything. And it's so good for you, I swear by it.
Yeah, I do meditation, so I swear by it. Yeah.
But it's hard to do all the time, right? So what I do is I make sure 100% that 3 weeks out from a fight, I meditate every night before bed. And from the first time I meditate, I'm a different person.
And is that something you learned from somebody or someone?
From the karate.
From the karate, okay.
The Japanese style called Shotokan. My dad taught it, and before the class we used to sit down and meditate and put all the things of the day aside and just focus on what you need
to have that clarity,
Clarity,
and I guess, what was it like? What was it like, I guess, as you kept progressing and kept winning over the years? Obviously, the reputation builds up. Did you find that, what was that environment like? And did you find that kind of fights kind of portrayed that with the opponents, and even just the style of fights, or even just, the way that they approached fighting you as the years went on, and as you start to make a name for yourself and become someone,
Well, for example, once I made a bit of a name for myself, fighting in Australia, there was so much more pressure on me, because the expectation, you talk to anyone in the crowd, what do you think? They go, Steve will smash him. There's that expectation. They expect all that pressure gets put on you. When I go overseas, I have them all thinking that about the other guy, and they're booing me, and I thrive from that. I thrive because I stay quiet, and I'm just like,
it's almost, it's funny because I was watching the podcast just then a bit earlier, and they were saying like, when you're almost expected to win, it's like when you win, it's like, oh yeah, it's Steve, he's meant to win. You know what I mean? And it's always, it's kind of like, well, for you, it's like, well, they're expecting me to win here. And do you find you drive some sort of energy from that though, when you're expected to win?
Yeah.
And did you find it initially was something of pressure, and then you kind of learned to alleviate it? Or was it,
With my meditation and everything, I use even as I walk into the ring, I look across the ring at the other guy and I imagine, I'm thinking in my head, I'm thinking, you can see my aura, can't you? You can feel me. You can feel my energy. So I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling powerful. I feel like energy's coming off me and you can see it.
Yeah. Did you, so besides from meditation, is there anything else in terms of, I guess, recovery, or something in terms of, I guess, recovery, or something you did outside of the ring that kind of helped you mold everything together? Because one of the things that I've kind of noticed as well is that as much as you're good in the ring, when you find out what they do outside the ring, it makes a lot more sense as to why they're so prepared in the ring. More than just, I guess, the sparring and you know the stuff that you know. Was there a lot of other things that you kind of, other than meditation, that you went to, or outlets?
I have the routines, you know, where I make sure I get my massage, you know, like over 48 hours from the fight. I watch a lot of movies so my mind gets off it. That's about it really.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit more about, I guess, you was, you know, with your pro, 7-time world champion as a pro. It must be so hard to stop. Like, I mean, I know you know you've retired now, but it must have been so hard to stop as you were going on. But with that world champion, what, like, I guess more than just the fights, what drove you to keep going? Other than the love, like, you know, because it's a tough sport, physically, mentally, not only even just yourself, but your family, the environment, and you know, everyone's got to ride your energy too, your team and whatnot. Like, what, a 7-time world champion is massive. Like,
because as I was getting older, I was emotionally maturing so much, and for me, I was a really aggressive fighter when I was young, and I was winning. But I got so much better when I calmed down and it was more trusting, and I was so aggressive through, I think a lot of fighters do it through almost a bit of insecurity in their ability. So they go out and smash them instead of giving them a chance to make them miss and then not get hit and
So did that, you saying that maturity, the emotional maturity, something I like, you said emotional maturity. Tell me a bit about that. You're just talking about the way you approach the fights and your training and whatnot. And then you're saying that you were a bit, I guess you used to fight very angry. Tell me a bit about that emotional maturity. Like, what was that transition like? Like, what was it, just age, or was it just life? Those aspects of certain things that you went through, and what did that emotional, like that maturity, do for you as a fighter and the way you trained?
Well, age and life, but also I have my older brother, and he's such a technician, and I was very aggressive. So the angrier I got, the more I got hit. And I won't be beaten even by my brother when he beats me. So I work a way around it. So over time, I just learned to use his own tricks against him and calm down more. And when I get caught silly with something, don't get upset. You get upset, then you rush in and you get caught again. And so I managed to put my emotions aside from the fighter. But then in each hit that I throw, that bad temper that I had as a kid would come out, but then I could control it. Relax, relax. I could combine it properly. So I guess the emotional maturity come from just being able to use what I want when I need it.
Yeah. And how did your skills develop as you got better? Was it, I mean, I know that you've mentioned you training with, you know, with Stu and whatnot, but were you watching the game? I mean, I'm assuming you would have been watching the game as well to improve your skill set. What were some of the steps that you took to keep improving each fight? Like, where did you kind of draw, I guess, your inspiration, and where did you kind of draw that kind of energy to want to get better and, you know, learn new things? And where did you kind of draw that inspiration from?
Well, I've always had a bit of a theory on when you train with someone, you have the best trainer in the world, but you do too much training with them, you have a couple of bad habits from that one trainer. So I like to train with different trainers. Also, my hands were quite good, but that's where I needed the work because I'm a kicker. So I've done, over the past 15 to 20 years, probably 15 years, I've worked a lot on my hands, different boxing trainers, Dave Millwood, Mark Pitts, and City Sandy as well, and then they're all so different. Like, one I learned a bit of rhythm from, Dave really got my reach working really well, my power, City got my movement, and then to blend it all with my kickboxing, and then my brother Stu, when he holds pads for you, he'll attack you a lot, so your defense is really good, and gets you really fast and sharp. And then I'll train with a Thai, and it's very basic but very strong and continuous, and it's just good conditioning, and so just mixing it all together.
Yeah. Do you find like in our climate that's the best way to kind of evolve as a fighter, is to be able to learn different things? Because obviously in this world, I guess in certain,
especially with the MMA world coming in now.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, with the MMA world coming in. Yeah.
So you got to learn your wrestling and your jiu-jitsu, but then you got your stand-up. But then you might be awesome at all of them, but you might not be able to mix them. Yeah. You got to mix them together, and you got to adapt. And,
Tell me some of your hardest fights, man, that you've been through. Some of your, I guess, and if you're happy to share, like, I guess, some of the brutal injuries or some of the, some of the most horrific, I guess, fights you've been through. The wars, as fans will call it.
Two of my hardest ones, which if anyone's ever looked me up, they'd see me and Nathan Corbett. Yeah. Definitely hard fights. And the first one, there was a lot. I think 36 stitches in my face and head from that one fight. The second one we had, I split my shin, 10 stitches there. He's definitely a tough boy and very, very good fighter. Yeah. Paul Slowinski, very, very strong man. He was one of my hardest ones.
So was Nathan Corbett, was he from overseas as well?
He's from Australia.
Oh, from Australia. Yeah. And
so is Paul Slowinski.
Okay.
And then on Glory, I had a couple of really hard ones as well.
Yeah. What was the experience like, Glory? Like, what was Glory like?
It was pretty cool, yeah.
Because it's still growing. And,
it was Glory 7, the first one. It was in Italy, in Milan, and fought Michael Dutt, and that was probably 10,000 people in the crowd, and it was a really big show. And then the next one was Glory 9. That was in New York at Madison Square Garden.
Nice.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting.
Yeah. That's almost a part of history, man.
Yeah, Verlinden. Yeah. And he was.
How was that fight?
It was good. I was in an 8-man eliminator.
Oh, like a tournament kind of thing.
Yeah. And first round, I thought I lost the first round. Second and third, I pumped him. But then they gave him the decision, and the whole crowd, the whole Madison Square Garden, they go, "Boo! We want Steve."
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
And did you, I guess, through this journey, did you get to kind of, network and meet these different fighters from, I guess, different parts of the world? Did you kind of get to build a relationship with these guys while you went and, fought? Like, were you guys fans of each other? And
you fight someone, it's a bonding session.
Yeah.
You're best buddies after it.
Yeah.
And we all know each other intimately.
Yeah. And what was recovery like, man? Like, after these, I guess, some of these wars that you go through, what's recovery like? What's going through your head, man, the next day, and till you kind of get back on your feet?
My recovery was always pretty good. I've been pretty durable. I bounce back pretty good, unless I'm split, then you need to skin your heel.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm fine. But I go through a process there too. I always say that being a fighter, it's like an emotional roller coaster, because you need to train hard. You need to pick it up, but then you might have it might be 2 months away, so you've got to do it at a certain pace, and then pick it up a month out, and then peak right on time. And then after the fight, you need to rest and recover, like next to nothing. And you do that, and then you find yourself falling into a hole in the lounge, and then you need to pull yourself out of that hole, get back to the gym, and then slowly start to climb up again. Don't get into it too hard, too quick, and then slowly climb up again. So it was quite
I assume like these things only would also just come with experience, right? I mean, a lot of it, even in your time, like when you guys grew up and really got into Muay Thai and kickboxing, as it was coming up, a lot of this you wouldn't have known unless you kind of went through it and then learned for yourself, okay, this works, this doesn't work. But tell me a little bit about what do you think that it is in everybody, number one, to kind of, whether it's just kickboxing or Muay Thai, whatever, combat sports, anything that kind of really drives a person to dig really deep. But what is it that you think that in those situations, and you'll be able to answer it because of your fight career, that allows someone to be able to go through all of this mentally?
to dig so
to
deep
dig
and
and
to try
physically
so
and
hard
just be
and
like,
in
because
the
to
worst
the outside
situation
world,
of their
yeah,
life, but
yeah,
still pull themselves out and keep trying.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's unique. It's you get some people that are just the most talented person you've ever met. In the gym, sparring, everything, they're awesome. No one can touch them. But then they get in the ring, they get hit really hard, you get that big clunk, and they just lose. You know, what does Mike Tyson say? Nothing teaches. No, is it? No, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah, and it's so true, you know. Because I always found that you cop a really big hit in the ring, the next 30 seconds, I didn't really know what happened. It was instinct. So I think it's instinctive that you what is it, fight or flight?
Fight or flight, yeah.
I think it's just instinctive. You know?
Because it's just always fascinated me. I mean, even like for yourself, like you don't even, I don't know a lot of people even going into the late 30s, early 40s, but I mean, as far as your last fight that I watched, which was about, you just always seemed like you wanted to be there. Yeah. And it's a hard thing to hold for so many years, let alone a couple of years. And so it was just always fascinated me, like what drives, I mean, I know people want to be champions and I know that, you know, and all that, but I just think that given your record, you know, you would have gone through some real crazy mental battles to get yourself up, and not so much in a bad way, but like you said, it's an emotional roller coaster. You know, like it doesn't matter if you're the king of the world, but you know, no one else is going to know what you're feeling in your body and mind.
My wife, I've been with her for 15 years, so she's seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I promised her I'd retire this year.
Yeah.
And so it was before that. If I felt like I wasn't improving anymore or something like that, I didn't want to leave it. I didn't want to leave and think I could have done more. I could have been better. So it was pretty much, that was it. And that's why I always said I'll only retire once. So I stayed, instead of coming and going like a lot of people do, you know, I just stayed in there, kept trying.
Because you recently, I think you signed with One FC, but you didn't end up.
No, it was like 3 days before the fight got cancelled.
And then that kind of.
And I just went, you know what, it's a sign.
Yeah.
I was actually going to retire at the end of the year.
Okay. And was that going to be some sort of significant fight, or was that kind of like you being introduced to One FC and their Asian market kind of thing? Yeah. And so it was just going to be against another pro fighter?
So my plan was to sort of have that fight and then stick with them for the year and
retire after.
But it was just, I just took it as a sign, you know, and it was the best prep I'd ever had.
Yeah.
So I felt really good, and I thought, you know what, it'd be good to retire feeling awesome instead of thinking, oh, I'm going downhill a little, I might get out now.
Which is always the hardest thing to call. Yeah.
So my last fight was my 8th world title as well, and so it was just good all around. It was just the time. I just felt like it was right.
And what was it like for you, man? Like with your family, and you're saying your wife's been 15 years. Yeah. And a lot of that is probably in the peak of your powers as well. Yeah. And what was that like, man, coming out of fights and kind of having that dialogue, and I guess her having to see you, and I mean, did she come and watch a lot of your fights? Yeah. So what was that like? I mean, not so much I guess for her, but for you being able to, you know.
For me, leading into fights, I detach myself from all the ones close to me. So that's the good thing about being retired. I've got my 2 young kids, my wife, and I can just focus on them. Like, kids don't understand, you know, like to be a champion, I have to detach from them and focus on the fight coming up.
But how do you
they don't understand that. A 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
So then now I don't have to do that. So and I can feel the difference already.
And did your kids know? Sorry, what were your kids' names?
Kobe, 3, and Evelina. She's
Evelina. And what did Kobe and Evelina like? Do they know much about what your career was like fighting? Do they know that Dad was a fighter and stuff?
Well, Kobe does, but he's only just 3 now, so he's just starting to understand.
Consciously see what's going on.
It was just a few weeks ago, actually. I just put my highlights video on. It's Dad, and he's like,
does he have it in his blood?
Hey?
Does he have fight in his blood?
He hasn't even really trained yet. And my wife took him to gymnastics today, and I said, how do you go? She said, they had to do this thing where they push kicked a big thing out of the way. He was the only one that could do it. He was just swinging. It's in the blood.
Yeah. Would you ever let them explore it if they ever?
I'd let him.
Yeah.
I'd let him do it if he wanted to. But I wouldn't push it for him to be a fighter. I'll push for him to just train.
Yeah.
Because it's just great for kids, for confidence and to be able to look after yourself and look after your family. It just helps, you know.
Tell me a bit about that, man. I mean, it's something that you hear about it, like training, and you just the fitness aspects of it. But say for the crowd that's listening, just forget about just being fit, like with kickboxing and whatnot. Say something. I mean, I guess tell us a little bit about some of the benefits outside of the physicality, but just, you know, I just find so many people when they come in, and I've seen them obviously come in and out of the gym, like people, regular Joe Blows, and they're a different person within like 8 weeks, you know, but they're not fighters, they're not trying to fight, they're just here to
inner confidence.
But tell me a bit about the benefits, I guess.
It just, a lot of people grow up and, you know, they think they have to act like this or be like that or whatever, and it's not really them. I find you do your training, they become very confident, and it allows them to be themselves and just be comfortable and confident in who they are. And no one can mess with that, because that's who they are, that's what they are. You know, it's just a confidence.
It's, I guess you identify yourself more than just worrying about it. And I guess what's your future like now, man? You're just gonna full-time daddy and whatnot. Are you still kind of involved in the game somehow, or
still involved in the game, just training people still a few days a week, and also do stonemason work, which with a mate of mine, which I love. I love hard work, hard labour. And what else? I'm also going to run training camps to Thailand.
Okay. To Thailand? Cool. So take a bunch of people there.
We're sort of just putting those together at the moment. And
do you generally get a mix of like family, general, and fighters, or do you generally just?
It's more corporate. After I've got it, because I had a few really good sponsors who were good mates of mine too while I was fighting. And they used to come along with me on my training camps. And they just got so much out of it, and they just thrived from it in business and in their lives, as we're talking about with confidence and everything. So so we're working on it together to put this together, because I think a lot of people in the corporate world will benefit from it.
I mean, I think I see a lot more stuff like along with corporate, even with that corporate fighter, they see a lot of those. Actually got a mate of mine I just found out he's joining the 8-week corporate thing they have, which I think is awesome. Being a champion, man, like what was I guess like when you became a champion for the first time, I guess. I know that you told me that that's when you decided you wanted to be a champion, and you of all people will know it's easy to fucking say I want to be a champion. It's different putting the work out and doing it. For those, a lot what I want people to take away from anyone I speak to is that every person is a regular Joe Blow with a dream, and then it's the hard work. So what was it that changed for you? That was like, you know, was it just that fact that you were just ticking off results one by one and you found yourself? But what is it that drives a person? What does it take to be a champion?
One thing I noticed was that there was guys around me who, when they first started, they couldn't throw a punch to save their life, and they become champions because they trained so hard and they worked so hard, and they were coordinated so they could learn, and they become champions. And I thought, you know what, I knew I had a natural ability for this type of life, so if I try harder than they do, I'll be the champion I want to become.
So it's almost like you know, you got to kind of do the work, and the rewards. The reward. Did you ever feel any? I guess negativity or doubt in your career and in you fighting, and feel like
once a week?
Yeah. And how about like? Did you ever? What was the outside noise like coming up? Like, was there a lot of naysayers? Was there a lot of people that kind of said, you know, didn't expect you to, I guess, have this, you know, beautiful record that you do have? You know, what was that like, battling that? You know, just kind of knowing that there's people out there that don't want to see you win, and at the same time probably don't think you're good enough. What was your mentality like when you kind of had that kind of adversity, or, you know, bridge to cross?
Well, one thing that helped me, I guess, I had a bit of trouble with it when I was young, was just being selfish in what I want to do. Right, but then when I chose to do what I wanted to do, which was this, I sacrificed a lot. You know, like it was later on in my career where where the fitness industry took off, so I started to earn money from training people and all that sort of thing. But before that, I was missing out. I was living like a pauper, but just eyes on the prize. Train, fight. So.
And what do you reckon with? I know that we briefly touched on in terms of, you said the quality of fighters have gone really up, but take aside the quality of fights in terms of promotion, in terms of growing the sport, and something we briefly touched on before we jumped on was the financial aspect of fighters. What do you think is going to take for that to grow here, man?
Yeah, I don't really know. It's a really hard one.
Yeah.
Until I got some decent sponsors, I was living like a pauper, and I got some good sponsors on board, and it was really good for me.
Yeah.
There's not much money in the fight industry in Australia. Yeah. It's a shame because we've got some really good talent here.
Why do you think that is, though?
I really don't know.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that I've seen, I think it's even just, we got genuine fight fans here, and I know that I know a lot of genuine fight fans, but unless they go looking to go watch a fight, you know, wherever it's happening, or know somebody that is fighting, you know, like when I obviously fought for you guys and fought for Bulldogs, there was a whole, you know, bunch of people that would have never watched a fight, but because they're my mate, they came through. Yeah. And it was something that I noticed the last couple of years, that a lot of people do want to kind of get behind fighters, and especially if they know that they're from their area, you know, similar to Europe and similar to America, and I just find that they don't have the avenue to be able to know what's going on and know, like, hey, there are some people, they may not be fight fans, but they might still have that platform to be like, hey dude, that guy's a world champion.
They might not be a fight fan, but they're your fan.
Yeah, your fan, you know, like he's a world champion, and you know, whether he's the skin, your color skin, or from your area or whatever it is, they're behind you. And I just found, like, you know, like you said, there's so many great fights, but I feel like that there's a bit of a disconnect from people being like, oh, where are the fights happening? Because, and it's not that they don't want to go, I think it's sometimes they don't even know where the fights are happening, or, you know, being able to get a hold of the venue and where it is.
It's like not a sport.
Not a sport, man. And I know the reason I say that is when I finally got to get in the ring, I noticed that with the environment, I'm like, shit, these guys all like, you know what I mean? But they just don't know, and it's because, like, they know somebody, they're like, yeah, that's my boy, he's fighting, and so I'm gonna go, or, you know, that's my girl, and I'm gonna go see her fight and whatnot. So I found like, once that aspect gets better, like where a nobody that doesn't know anything about what's going on in fighting, say in Castle Hill, but finds out in Castle RSL there's a big fight between a world champion, whatever, they might not be like, oh, I'm a fight fan, but hey, it's a Saturday night, fuck it, let's go to the fight, you know what I mean? And I feel like, I think once that starts happening, I think the sport will grow, and but I mean, obviously, like you mentioned earlier, like MMA is coming in full flow. But it's funny though, you know, you asked me earlier about how boxing was, and it's funny with even combat sports, or even each sport has its own entity. You know, like you can be a mixed martial artist, but if you were gonna go and just do kickboxing, you'd probably ask kickboxer. And I love that aspect, that there's still a need for each aspect of martial arts, whether it's boxing. Yeah, exactly. Like, you might have a good overall game, but if you're just having strict rule sets, then it's like that guy. It doesn't matter whether you know what I mean. That guy will has a really good chance of being able to, you know, beat you. But look, out of all the, I guess, what stands out to you most about your career, man? Like I said, one day, you know, I know we're going to celebrate it. I think even outside of just fight fans that know you and respect you for what you've done, I think I really believe one day we'll have a platform where we'll look back and thank people from all different aspects of Australian culture for being pioneers and, you know, helping us build a sport. But what really stands out in the career that you span, like what really stands out to you? And also, I guess, two-part question. What career highlight in terms of fighting stands out for you in the career span that you've had? So maybe we'll start with what fight stands out for you, or what particular, you know, bout stands out for you, and then just overall, and it doesn't even have to be a fight in terms of your career, but what stands out for you in this, you know?
Well, the fight that stands out for me is when my first win on my WBC title, because it was, you know, I had world titles, but I according to me, they were kind of like cornflakes or titles sort of thing, and then the WBC it meant a lot to me, you know,
because that's like your up echelon,
And so there was that was in Jamaica. It was, you know, it was a big deal over there. I fought a guy from Amsterdam, and that's probably the standout one for me, just for that reason.
And was it in a stadium in Jamaica?
It was in a stadium, outdoor stadium. It was
packed out? Nice.
Yeah, it was roasting hot.
Yeah.
Well. Middle of winter here, training in winter, and we're over there for that.
Oh, was it from winter here to summer there, was it? Or?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And in terms of just your whole span of your career, man, like what stands out for you the most? Just in terms of your journey. And,
you know. Well,
it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal.
I love to be able to advise and, you know, give advice and teach. So just being there for people just makes me feel good. I wish I had that, you know. Mine's all through experience. That's why I improved so much as I got older, because I could, you know, rely on my experience.
Yeah. Is that something that you kind of try to be very classy about in terms of just how you nurture, I guess, young fighters and train them? And I feel like a lot of it is, you know, more than just the skills. I think it's self-belief, and you know, it's one thing I got when I trained with you guys, and especially, you know, for my last fight, I got to spend some time with you, and it's just the mentality was just hard work. Like there wasn't much kind of like, you know, you get your pat on the back and whatever, but the environment was, everyone was there to just fucking work hard. So if you're not going to, you know, work hard first, and I felt like then the relationships kind of started to flourish. But that was, for me, that was so different. Like when I came and when I trained with you guys, I was just like, whoa, like it's just put your head down, fucking work hard, you know, and then you earn the respect. Repetition. Yeah.
Because as I was saying earlier, my brother, he was a natural technician. I wasn't really. I was more aggressive. So for me, I had to break things down technically and then drill it so many times that it just become the best thing I've ever thrown.
Yeah. And how many hours a day did you use to train when you were when you were competing and you were fighting actively? What was your training schedule like in a week? And say out of 7 days, you know, what was your training schedule like?
I do 3 days of twice a day, 2-hour sessions, different types of sessions though, you know, like I might do a hard pad session, a big run, hard pad session in the morning, and then strength and conditioning in the afternoon, or sparring, or mix it up. After 3 days, I'd have like a morning off, and then come in the afternoon, and just
I guess like we were touching on earlier, you just figure out what works best for you and your body.
That's one thing I learned as I got older, was just some people need to kick up the arse to get the training. Some people need to be told to calm down and hold back. So I just learned to trust how I felt. If I'm feeling a bit tired and fatigued, have a rest.
Yeah. And
it would always work for me.
Yeah. I guess you're not doing anyone any favours if you're tired, and
just dragging your ass.
Yeah. And what was kind of to end it, I guess, what was the feeling like, man, when you decided you're going to retire and you made that call? And part two of it is, did you get any kind of special messages from other fighters and people that have shared the ring with you? And you know what I mean?
I did. It was overwhelming. It was unreal. I didn't expect it. It was just the love I got from everyone in the sport. Everyone watches the sport. People that I'd looked up to and you know, fought with overseas and everything, and I was getting lots of love. Made me feel special. You know?
That's so true, man. But look, just to close things off, man, I appreciate you coming and having a quick chat, Steve. And like I said earlier, man, I hope people get to appreciate what you've done for our sport. And I know that I know one day, you know, not that it's already, I mean, within the circles and fight fans and people that know the game, know the respect that you hold. But yeah, I really appreciate having the time to even be able to be in the ring with you and train under you, and I'll always hold that very close to my heart. But man, all the best with I guess retirement. I'm sure you'll have your hand in the game somehow, and like you said, helping young fighters and whatnot. And much respect, and like I said, I hope you get all the accolades that you deserve.
Thank you.
Cheers, my man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
And don't forget, anyone who wants to come and train down at Bulldog, come and get some advice off the old man.
Yeah. Look, Steve's a great coach, and you don't have, like you said earlier, you don't have to be a fighter. You just go down, get fit, and that's how I think you end up getting into fighting, because that's what happened to me. I was just, my first ever gym, I was just training, and then 5 years went, and it's like, hey, do you want to jump in the ring? And you realize, like, if you love it enough, you hit a glass ceiling, and you're like, well, what's left for me other than getting in the ring and having a go? So shout out to Bulldog, shout out to Steve McKinnon, and Steve, thank you so much. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, brother.